And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist Peter Chan with your Alaska Aviation Weather Outlook on this Monday, December 9th. And starting out, setting the stage for this, as of this Monday late morning, low pressure is located out toward west of Nunavik Island. Will be passing up near St. Matthew this Monday afternoon. A second low is going to cross the eastern Aleutians, tip of the Alaska Peninsula, come Tuesday afternoon. So these two systems in succession. We've had one initial front push up into the west portion of the state, remnants of that coming into south central. Very strong winds. This Monday morning, Portage Glacier there has had some wind gusts as high as 80 miles an hour up there in the hills. There are high wind warnings in and around the East Hills there, Anchorage and Girdwood. That's Monday morning. Now, things obviously will be different come Tuesday morning. The next low coming up is also going to have another front pushing up toward the Gulf. So as a result, we have widespread IFR conditions out over the Gulf, pockets of IFR within the Panhandle, especially the outer coast, Prince William Sound, eastern Kenai, southern lower portion of Cook Inlet, areas of Bristol Bay, all along Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, northern parts of the Bering up into the Chukchi Sea, and come Tuesday afternoon, we still have areas of IFR conditions across the Gulf, especially out over the Gulf, and pockets of IFR, Brooks Range, south slopes, areas of the west coast, Bering Strait down through the lower Yukon Delta, Nunavik Island, the Pribilofs. And then on Wednesday morning, still IFR conditions as that next front, because low pressure is already going to have kind of peeled back to the north and west on a similar track as to the earlier one. And here are IFR conditions along the Gulf Coast into the southern Panhandle for Wednesday morning. Back out along the southwest coast up to the Bering Strait. Generally VFR conditions, Brooks Range, Alaska Range, though as of right now, Monday, later morning, we have strong winds coming through areas of the Alaska Range. And for Wednesday afternoon, we find lingering IFR conditions along the northern, northeastern Gulf Coast in through the Panhandle. And some MVFR conditions, eastern parts of the Brooks Range, just west there of the Yukon Flats, down along the west arm of the Alaska Range and out toward St. Matthew. So looking at past conditions for at least the east central Brooks Range on Tuesday, Anatuvik Pass MVFR conditions should be the case, Adigan Pass as well. And then further south, west arm, the Alaska Range, MVFR, even some IFR just as you get further near and south of Lake Clark. There could be a period of IFR conditions there, especially Tuesday morning. Otherwise, MVFR. As we go north, we find Rainy Pass, MVFR. Windy Pass may actually break out into some VFR conditions on Tuesday. Not 100% sure of that, but that's the trend. So also for Isabel Pass, MVFR conditions in the morning, giving way to VFR for a time. Same thing over toward Mentasta Pass. There may be some areas of MVFR, especially southern entrance Tuesday morning. Tanita Pass, also some MVFR conditions giving way to VFR. And then down around Prince William Sound, Portage Pass itself, generally MVFR conditions expected Tuesday, but toward the east entrance and out over Prince William Sound, IFR conditions should generally be the rule on Tuesday. And then in the far north end of the Panhandle, Chilkoot and White will see MVFR conditions become VFR on Tuesday. Looking at freezing levels at the surface and aloft, first starting out with where our temperatures above freezing. Look at this western storm, the one that has pulled back, that'll be crossing St. Matthew on this Monday afternoon. It's forced a front all the way up along the west coast. We have temperatures. This is as of late morning Monday. It's mid-30s. 34 degrees at Nome, 36 at Teller. Up here at Kivalina, 34 degrees. So we expect temperatures to be above freezing along much of the west coast, lower Chukchi Sea, all the way down Norton Sound, Kotzebue Sound, Bristol Bay, Kuskokwim Bay. This push of warmer air is coming. In fact, Anvik this Monday late morning is 41 degrees. So there is plenty of mild air that's working its way northeastward. We have a dome of warmer air aloft along this frontal boundary. That's what's caused the very strong winds here along the northern Gulf Coast into areas, Portage Glacier and up around the Chugach there, East Hills of Anchorage. That's as of late Monday afternoon. Those winds will abate as the system kind of goes through its cycle, but still, freezing levels aloft, 4, 6, 8,000 feet over the Gulf, 10,000 feet there southwest of Haida Gwaii. Where there are areas of precipitation, precipitation producing clouds, we're finding freezing levels, icing above potentially 8,000 feet here, Western Gulf, 6,000 feet, the Eastern Aleutians, Lower Alaska Peninsula, also through areas of the Southwest. And then as further north we get, air still, though, is at the surface is above freezing, pushing northward. So areas along the Arctic coast, North Slope, above 3,000 feet, above 4,000 feet there in the middle Yukon Valley. Here is the jet stream level winds, 30,000 feet. There's ridging here into the southeast mainland, down along the Panhandle. And then we have this trough, kind of a negatively tilted trough. That's what's feeding the energy of these two low pressures northward, and so we find stronger southeast-south winds here along Bristol Bay, Kuskokwim Bay, the lower Yukon, as high as 95 knots, bring it down to 9,000 feet, 700 millibars. Look at the broad wind field coming in the Western Gulf, 50, 60 knots throughout Kodiak Island, Lower Cook Inlet, and then crossing the west arm here of the Alaska Range, upwards of 85 knot winds from the southeast-south, all up into the western interior. And finally, at 3,000 feet, closer to the surface, we have a low here, another low back here. On Tuesday morning, this is the second low that's going to be crossing Lower Alaska Peninsula, Eastern Aleutians for Tuesday afternoon. So it has a strong wind field that comes up into the southwest quadrant of the mainland, 50, 65 knot locally strong winds around Lake Iliamna, and off of Kodiak Island, 50 plus knot winds. So as a natural result, we would expect to find severe turbulence over areas of the southwest, southwest interior, west arm of the Alaska Range, trailing down the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, Lower Cook Inlet. We have severe turbulence, potentially surface to 5,000 feet with low-level wind shear with those fronts coming into the region. Up along the Alaska Range, there could be moderate turbulence, surface 10, 12,000 feet along higher terrain ridge lines, and even far north up into the Brooks Range and the hills or small mountains here in the within the Seward Peninsula, surface to 4,000 feet, and then back trailing out here along the eastern central Aleutians. We could also find some moderate turbulence, surface to 3,000 feet on Tuesday.